So my wife was actually going to that game with her friend, like sitting way not as good as me, right? And it was so cold that your beer was freezing, like in the parking lot tailgating. They didn't freeze inside the bowl because I think I was getting after a little quicker then.
We're here on the Midwest Legends podcast with the Midwest legend himself, Matt Ramage. Matt, welcome to the show, buddy.
Thanks for having me. I'm glad to be, a Midwest legend.
Dude, I've been watching for a while. I'm excited to see what the future brings, and we'll get into it here, man, all right?
All right, I'm glad to be here.
Matt, one of the things I want to get out in the Midwest is a little bit about who you are, because I think people see you online, and they know, like, you're, I would say, like an iconic Packer fan. Like, people realize when they see you, it's going to be some Green Bay, potentially trash talk of whether it's the Lions, the Bears, the Vikings, and then some very positive talk about the Packers. And obviously, you've become very well known. But I want to get a little bit of background, like, who are you, where are you from, where do you work? Because I know a lot of this stuff, but I want everybody to find out kind of who you are. So, like, where were you born, Matt?
I was born in Green Bay, actually. But I didn't stick around Green Bay very long.
Well, it's very fitting you're born in Green Bay. That's it has to be. Like, the guy that's born in Green Bay is the ultimate Packer fan. But so then you were in Green Bay, you're born there. Did you go to school in Green Bay? Was a kid or what?
Not as like a little guy. Like we moved to Fond du Lac when I was a baby.
Sure.
Till about 12. And then I moved back to Green Bay. So I kind of see it as like I have like two childhoods. One like Fond du Lac, and that was like the old traditional 80s childhood. You know, everyone's outside, not allowed in the house. You know what I mean? Till the sun goes down. And then when I moved to Green Bay, then, that's kind of where I fell in love with the Packers. I mean, we were Packer fans at Fond du Lac. We had big Packer parties, my parents did, but we weren't allowed to be part of them. You know what I mean?
Because you're a kid, right?
Yeah. We were either sitting on the floor, like, away from anyone, and then we go outside and play football in the yard, so we were kind of half in it, you know. Kids get amped up watching the Packers, and like, let's go play football outside, you know, so yeah, that's kind of what I did.
Well, I think, too, that's how I grew up as well, but when you actually live in Green Bay, it's like every day is Packer stuff, whether it's in the Green Bay Press Gazette or just now on obviously like social media. So you can be a Packer fan in Wisconsin or anyway for sure, but across Wisconsin, there's tons of Packer interest. But when you get into Green Bay, it's nothing like the Packer.
Yeah, the businesses are all like, the Tundra Laundry or whatever. I don't know if that's a real one, but there's like everything has got some type of Green Bay feel to it, Packer feel to it.
So how old were you when you moved back to Green Bay?
I was 12.
Okay. And then what part of Green Bay did you go? Where were you at in Green Bay?
The not so glorious part, the part furthest away from Lambeau, like Day Street, Harvey Street back then.
Yeah.
I think they kind of redone it up now. I haven't really drove down the street, but back in the day, those neighborhoods were fun. Kids were just everywhere, getting after it.
Yeah, but I mean that's heart of Green Bay there though too. So that's pretty cool. And then you went there. Did you go to high school then?
Yeah, I went to Washington Middle School and then Green Bay East High School, and those were. It's crazy to go back to these schools now because my kids' basketball tournaments and stuff to see the schools. I remember going to East and it was kind of like, I wouldn't say run down, but it was an older school. My mom would tell me, she went there and like it's just been the same since forever. But not anymore. Now they're, I think they upgrade some stuff.
Where's the original Packer field too? Isn't it?
At that high school, at Green Bay East High School, because actually I had gym class on the same field the Packers played on, and like the gym coach would just yell at us. He was like, he called me Squirrel Boy because I was always screwing around, running around doing what I'm not supposed to, and he'd be like, the Packers playing in this field, and you're mocking everything.
I love that.
I failed gym class on the same field the Packers played on, and not many people can say that.
Yeah, well, because I grew up in Green Bay for quite some time, and I knew that the original field was on East, and that's funny that you're out there, and he's like, you're disrespecting.
But back then, it wasn't really like, I don't think that there were signs everywhere. Now they kind of lean into it, but it was a fact. People knew it. People talked about it a little bit, but it wasn't like people were coming in like, I can't wait to. I never even heard like football players say, we're playing on the same field as the Packers. I mean, it was known, but it wasn't. I felt like it's not as big of a deal it is now.
Well, and I think back then, the Packers obviously went on kind of a rough streak, 70s, 80s. What is it, early 90s when Brett Favre, Don Majkowski started it, and then it went to Brett Favre, right? But you grew up in that time, as did I there, where the Packers really, they were a big deal to us in Green Bay. They were a big deal to Wisconsin, but it wasn't like the iconic franchise where now you have this, people are coming to like the Tundra Lodge and all that stuff. It was just the big green stadium, right?
Yep. Yeah, that's all it was. You could walk right up to it. Like my buddy Eric tells me stories because he lives across the street. And like it was just like on a hill, and they'd ride their bikes up to it, and they could walk around it. They would sneak in and watch games. Like you could crawl under a fence. I think he'd tell me stories. I never had that. I'm not that old where I was there that long ago, but that was like the early days.
Yeah, well, I was there too in the late '80s, and my brother and I, because you know where the Don Hudson Center, and that practice field was nothing. It was basically the field that they practiced on back then was just a field with if I remember correctly, a chain link fence, and then like some basic bleachers, like basic. It looked like little league baseball bleachers.
Yeah, I wasn't really around it back then because when I moved to Green Bay, like we'd ride our bikes over there every now and again.
Yeah,
but I think we were lazy. That's a long ride for a bike, you know.
But you're a kid too. You got other things to do.
Well, we were hitting the jumps like Barrage Creek and stuff.
Oh,
you know, Barrage Creek, dude, I used to ride. I used to rock those. You come back, just come home, your eyes all swolled up, bleeding out of your cheek. What happened? We're just riding our bikes.
We used to like take snowboard to Barrage Creek too in the winter.
Yeah.
And that place was wild because back then it was like the steepest hill in Green Bay, right?
Yeah.
I mean, that place was like.
Well, we would go through like there's like wooded areas, and you could find some like jumps. I don't know if they're still there today. I doubt it. The way the society is today, kind of like kids are just coming out of there and crushing.
That's probably my fault, right?
Yeah.
I
remember one time, like there was this big hill you had to ride down, and at the end you'd like jump it and it'd go flying in the air. But I was like, I'm gonna go backwards, so I rode it up. I got all the way to the top, and I'm just and then it just stopped, momentum stopped, and I started going backward. Rode down the hill backwards, rode off the side of the hill, fell into a tree. I'd cut off shorts on because I was cool like that. They ripped. I had to ride my bike home basically wearing a skirt because we cut off shorts. I just looked like I was wearing a skirt, and my friends were behind me. Everyone just laughed. Ah, look at this loser.
That happened at Barrage Creek?
Yeah.
I know. I wish we could show. Maybe we'll have to bring in a picture of Barrage Creek so people understand how steep and big that place is, especially as a kid. I mean, now I know there's places that I go to as an adult. I'm like, it's not as big as we thought as a kid, but Barrage Creek is pretty legit. And I know if you're looking at Barrage Creek, if you're at the bottom and you look on the left, I think there was like a section that went around. So if you're looking at the left of it, it went down, and then there was like another steep hill. So
there was just a whole bunch in the woods too.
Yes.
Like you could just ride through trails and then just find like a whole section of like just like some of them like were dirt tracks, dirt bikes. We didn't have dirt bikes. We weren't like that. But you could just ride around.
Just ride your bike.
Stuff.
Yeah, your pedal bike.
Oh yeah, we were pedal biking. If I had a dirt bike at that age,
you might not be here for this show.
I wouldn't be here right now.
You wouldn't be wearing a skirt home. You'd be like getting carried out with the ambulance.
Yeah, we used to. I remember having a brand new bike taken to Barrage Creek and then bringing it home. I'm like, sorry, Mom, broke.
Dude, Barrage Creek is legit. Anybody that grew up in the Green Bay area knows Barrage Creek.
Yeah, I think that was like I think you're lucky, like if you did like have that childhood.
Yeah,
because we would ride bikes all day. We would, especially like even before Green Bay, like when I was living in Fond du Lac. So we'd leave in the morning, but I rode a skateboard then. And then I moved to Green Bay, we had a skateboard, and they didn't like skateboards in my neighborhood. So I was like, I guess I won't do that because they were beating people up over there. But so I was like, we'll get back on the bike or whatever. But and in Fond du Lac, we would just ride a skateboard all day. We would
just
leave.
Skating all day.
Yeah, and then at night you come home.
Yeah.
That's what I like about my childhood. Like you talk about like Midwest.
Yep.
I feel like that's what the Midwest is. Like we would set up shoes in our front yard, and we just keep moving them to see who could jump the furthest. We would just like think of games in our head. You'd have like those like a flashlight tag, and we would just be out. And then your mom would start yelling names when it started getting dark, and everyone had to go in. I used to joke when I was in Fond du Lac, when I was like 10, I had a later curfew than when I was like 13, 14. Started getting in trouble. Mom's like, I'm gonna have to wean this back in, you know what I mean? But in Fond du Lac, when we were kids, we were just out playing tag. Nobody was getting in trouble. There was no, nothing crazy. Just kids outside acting foolish.
I had another guy on the podcast, and he was saying that's what he remembers growing up in the Midwest is just basically going out till sundown. Usually you had to come back for supper. That's what I did, or otherwise I got in trouble, and I wouldn't be able to go out the next day. So you came home quick, ate something, and went back out until...
Sometimes my mom made us eat.
Yeah, I know. So it wasn't always too.
She's like, it's been 3 days, you have to eat.
Yeah. And if you're lucky, maybe one of your buddies might like get you, give you a snack, or maybe...
Yeah, my next door neighbor, like they seem to have the better snacks, so I'd always kind of go over to his house, and he had chocolate milk. They had the good stuff over there.
You're like, I'm good. I'm over at my buddy's.
I'm gonna eat over here. They got chocolate milk. We're not even allowed to have cereal after like 10 a.m. My mom was very strict with that. If you can't get up early, you don't need no breakfast.
Well, so I was gonna ask you, what is your iconic Midwest childhood memory? And it sounds like that's part of it, right?
Just being outside and like in like with the Packers, we would have all my uncles would come over. We had a big screen TV or whatever. And so our house was just like the Packer house. And the Packers weren't good then. So my uncles were all like gamblers. And so they would be like, hey, I'll bet you $10 there's a first down right here. And they'd all start throwing money out there. And that was like their way of making the games exciting.
Dude, so they were doing like the parlay bets back
Yeah, they were. And they would just be like anything. Someone would think of something. Like, all right, next 3 plays, touchdown. Who's got 20? And then we'd like throw it, or I don't know how much it was. They might not have been balling quite like that. It might have been quarters or dollars, but they were always gambling. So that's my whole memory of my childhood is a lot of family, a lot of cousins, a lot of skateboarding, riding bikes.
Yeah, that's
not being allowed. I mean, there's times you'd go in the house at like 2, and like, what are you doing here? Like in the summer, get outside.
Get outside, yeah.
And then care if it's raining, we'd be hanging on the porch. But and then I don't know. I think that was a good decade or whatever of having a good childhood.
I agree. I think that whole time of just being free and then going out and just spending time with your buddies and doing, like all day, getting the most out of every single day.
Yeah.
And then I like how that your uncles, the Packers weren't doing so well, but they still made the games fun by doing a little gambling. Because I know when I was about that age and the Packers weren't doing well, my dad and I'd be watching the game. And then he'd get frustrated, shut it off, and he'd be like, all right, we got to go to work. We would just go, we'd have to go do yard work and stuff.
He'd get mad. That's what I think is funny about Packer fans. Like my father-in-law, he used to get so fired up. And there's like different types of Packer fans. There's the ones that get so angry that they hate the Packers.
Yeah.
So they love the Packers, but then the first quarter, some bad, it's over. It's done. Shut it off. This team sucks. The coach, and they just start going on rants. Then they start doing it good again. Like, all right, come on, let's go. It's like, but they're like, it's almost like they're protecting their feelings.
Yeah, my dad was just like, he wasn't vocal. I think he'd usually give them till halftime, and then if it wasn't looking good, he's like, all right, we got things to do. It's Sunday. We're gonna go out. We got work to do. We gave the Packers a chance. We'll hope again early next Sunday, but it's not looking good this Sunday. We can listen on the radio. We're working, but you're not watching anymore.
I feel like for me, it was always you have to finish the game. Like if they're getting blown up, you have to, because it's almost like you're going through the misery with them.
Yeah, you gotta.
Yeah, but I get the going to do work stuff. Can get mad, like, all right, we got stuff to do. I don't have nothing going on. You know what I mean? I got nothing going on. My days are open. So I always feel like I have to sit there. And now I do the live stream stuff, so I have to sit there anyways, which makes it even more brutal.
Well,
the Packers are losing, it's rough.
But at least you're sticking out. And my kids are big Packer fans, and they will stick it out. And it's funny because there's been a time where I'm like, that's it, the game's over. And maybe that's what I took from my dad, right?
Yeah.
And then they're like, I'm like, you guys can stay watching it. And then I hear them yelling. I'm like, what happened? They're like, you wouldn't believe it. The Packers are coming back. And then sometimes they pull off a win, sometimes they don't. And I'm like, all right, I'm not going to pass that on. You guys are going to just they're more of the Matt Ramage style of like, we're just sitting in it.
You have to you have to suffer with them.
Yeah. And I guess they're good with it. So because I saw a Jets fan. Did you see that thing on the internet? The Jets fan is like, because the Jets obviously doing terrible, right? And they've been doing terrible forever. And he's like, I'm born into this, and I'm stuck with this misery.
Yeah,
and he was like a 12-year-old kid
video,
or whatever.
and that's what it is like, which is funny to me. I always say, like, to Bears fans, like, your parents did this to you. Like, if you live in Illinois, I get it, because, but, like, people are like, oh, my dad, we were from Illinois, now we live in Nebraska, we're Bears. Like, why? Like, why would you do that to your kid? Because, like, if you're, like my kids are Packer fans, so they didn't really have a choice. I didn't have a choice. It's kind of born into you, like, when you grow up every day, they're watching the Packers, watch the Packers. So, but imagine that, like being a Bears fan.
Well, and I mean, the Bears had a run for. I'm not talking about '85, but I'm talking about right before the kind of Rodgers era, where
they had early 2000s,
where then the Bears lost the Packers twice in a row, and then I think they started hanging Jay Cutler, like burning them in Chicago, and after that it was just downhill. Then basically Aaron Rodgers owned the Bears, and it became one of the things that was like, they were basically mocked and laughed at.
Yeah, dude, it's great. I remember when they got Jay Cutler, I was upset. Like, I was like worried because Jay Cutler was like an MVP candidate
then he was smoking
in Denver,
smoking the darts. And
he
didn't have a different. Maybe you were concerned it was going to be like the Jim McMahon was coming back, right?
Yeah, but yeah, he chucked it around, but he liked to throw it to Charles Wood.
Yeah, wrong guy, right?
Yeah, I had to tell him, like, hey, we wear this color jersey.
Well, and that's one of the things that you already give me some good stories, but so a little bit about, you're talking about your uncles, and maybe that's it. But as far as iconic Midwest legends, because that's one of the things about the show, is bringing on people that are legends like yourself, like you're well known, especially in Wisconsin, especially in Green Bay. But now, probably across the Midwest with all the different NFC North fan base because of your epic posts. Yeah, right. But in your like growing up, can you think of anybody that this person was a Midwest legend to you? You know,
I think it had to be my mom.
Okay.
Like my mom was like she worked multiple jobs. Like she had her own like tough childhood. She had her own stuff, but she was like always there, and she was like just like all the parties were at our house. Like our house was the spot. Like you mentioned, my uncles come up, all my cousins. I didn't realize that at the time, like as a kid, but I was like, they were just getting hammered all the time. You know what I mean? But she'd take us fishing. I'm not a big fishing person, but I remember walking down to the park. We'd have this wagon pulling all the fishing stuff. We'd have a stroller. She'd have some beer in the stroller.
Yep.
We'd be walking down. We'd go to the Lakeside Park in Fond du Lac.
Okay.
We'd fish there. I'd fish for a little bit. I'd get bored, and I'd go play on the stuff and get hurt, come back limping. But yeah, my mom was always that person, and like even like fixing stuff around the house. Like my mom didn't wait on nobody. If she needed something done, she just did it.
Yeah,
my mom's kind of a BA, you know what I mean?
He sounds like it does sound like she made a place where everybody had fun and happy to go to, a place where you felt like, hey, if I can go out in Bears Creek and get injured, come back, she can help me, nurse me back to health.
Yeah,
she's gonna
yeah, she'd always say pour that. Well, that peroxide. I don't get it because like my mom, like as a kid, I would like cry like, please don't put the peroxide on it. She's like, you have to, you gotta go to the hospital. But then as an adult, I've never even seen a bottle of peroxide. What's going on? I know my kids didn't get hurt as much. Maybe my wife did that for them. They weren't out there in the elements like I was. But
well, I think too, as kids, and it could be as parents now, some of us having lived through that, we're a little bit more protective of our kids than like our parents were, where your mom was just like, you just went out. She can encourage you just to go out.
She's like, God.
And you're out at Bears Creek doing God knows what, right? Riding your bike like you stole it.
Yeah.
And so, coming back with injuries. But your mom, I mean, and credit to her, she's keeping the house, she's working, she's keeping food on the table, she's bringing uncles over, taking guys fishing. But she's also like, hey, you go out and enjoy life and play. And, I'm not too worried about, but when you get hurt, you come back here, I'll take care of you and send you back out.
Send you some peroxide, get out of there. Yeah, like I never was like, my family, I've watched all your episodes so far. And my family, like, they were big fishing, like, when I was young, but we never went. I only went hunting one time. You want to hear my one hunting story?
Let's hear it.
All right, so this is my hunting story. My father-in-law, who passed, but he had a cabin in Pembine, and they go out there hunting, like, every year. And then I kind of came into the mix or whatever, and they're like, hey, we're going to take you out hunting. I'm like, I don't hunt. And they're like, but we were big drinkers. And so I was like, he's like, you don't have to hunt. You don't have to have a gun. Just come up to the cabin, be hunting. So I went up there, and first of all, they don't hunt that much. You know what I mean? They hunt in a field that he told me, he's like, Dad, there ain't no deer here. We've been hunting here for 20 years. There ain't no deer over here. Like, there's cabins popping up, ain't no deer, but we're gonna hang out over here. Yep. So like, I'm in one like little tent with a guy, with one of his buddies, and he's like far away, and he's in his own little thing. And he actually, the guy I was with, his buddy is looking at him through a scope, like on his gun. He's like
looking at you guys?
Yeah, he's looking at my father-in-law through a scope. To see like what they were doing. At the same time, my father-in-law is doing what you're supposed to do. He's got binoculars.
Right.
And he's looking back at him and just sees a gun pointed at him. And he gets so mad. I think he called him and he was like cussing him out. But I ended up ruining the trip because I had a bottle of Kessler on me because I wasn't hunting. I didn't have a gun. I didn't have a hunting license or none. So I was like, I'll just take a little swig of this Kessler, But it went down the wrong pipe. And then and then I opened the tent and I just puked right on. And I wasn't drunk. It was like the first drink. Went down the wrong pipe, and then the guy got so mad. He was like, dude, ain't no deer gonna come over here now. You just puked. What is that? McDonald's breakfast? What's going on over here? He was just so mad. And then he just starts packing up instantly. He's like, we're done. And then that's when my father-in-law told me, like, there ain't no deer over here anyways. Who cares?
Well, you know what? You might have kept your father-in-law safe, or who was it? Was it with you?
Yeah, it was your father-in-law. He the one that
you probably kept him safe because the guy with you was pointing a gun at him. So you drank a little bit the Kessler's a little too fast, probably, right?
Yeah.
They went down the round pipe, but you probably saved your father-in-law from getting shot because you don't use a scope to like look at the other guys in your party.
He said that he's like that's the number one rule of hunting. He's like, there's not a whole bunch of rules.
But don't point guns at other people.
Don't point guns at humans.
Yeah, that's right.
He's like, the safety was on. I'm like, I don't know. It doesn't seem very safe still.
Well, and hunting's there's a little bit about hunting and a lot about drinking, telling stories, hanging out together, right? I mean, that's
Oh yeah, that was like mostly what it was. When we went hunting, he had a really cool cabin. Like on the back end, it kind of went down to the railroad tracks, and you can walk anywhere, like a wooded
Pembine?
area. Yeah, in Pembine, it was a really awesome spot. But we would just sit there and get hammered all day.
Yeah.
Like they'd wake up in the morning, get hammered. They'd take a nap. You know, we got in the backyard hammocks or whatever.
Yep.
You pass out, wake up, start drinking again.
Did he have a name for the deer camp or not?
I don't think so.
I've seen some people, not everybody does it, but some people have like a name for their camp, and it
Yeah.
usually doesn't revolve around hunting. It's usually about drinking.
Maybe that's why he wasn't a good hunter because no, he had a buck though. He had at his house, he had a big buck on the wall, so he did get one at one time.
Yeah, he got that one, and then he said, I've done my part, and now it's
I
time
think
to-
that's what they do. Like someone gets a big buck, except for the serious hardcore hunters. I feel like they get it and like, yeah, now we'll just go out here and get hammered. Get away from the wife, tell her we're hunting over here. Go back and tell her some stories. Oh, I had one on the scope. You know what I mean? He was right there. Just
Stories
got
for
away from
days,
me.
right?
You ever heard seen that video I made? I made this video because I got the eye thing that I do.
Yes.
Videos. So I made a video about, I was like, I saw this big deer and we locked eyes. And I was like, then I take my shot. Pew! And then he said, moo. So that's a weird noise for deer to make. And when I did that, I got all these deer hunters that seen it and liked it. And they would like, I want to go hunting with you. And I was like, I don't hunt. I don't tell them that because I don't want to ruin it for them.
Yeah.
But I was like, I don't hunt. I'm not against it. I like drinking.
Yeah.
Just don't give me a gun.
I'm not against hunting. I like drinking though. Well, and the hard part too is there's so many different things to do, and hunting is a great thing, and it's a good Midwestern thing, Wisconsin thing. But there's just so much going on, especially as you get older.
Yeah.
You basically are the iconic Packer fan. I think you're like the everyman's Packer fan. You represent the Packer, the Packer in most of us that's dedicated to the team and just part of the community. I mean, you work at a dairy, right? Like
yeah, we're at a cheese factory.
Yeah, cheese factory.
People that say that I'm the most Wisconsin person ever. But like besides like the not fishing and hunting part, I kind of am. Like I work at a cheese factory. I'm a Packer fan. But like my thing is like with the podcast and stuff, like it's crazy. I got to talk to players because like I'm just a regular fan. Like if you look at all the top people talking about the Packers, even podcasters, they have some kind of journalist background.
Yep.
They kind of did some stuff. Like I didn't graduate high school. Like I was screwing up in high school, and then I worked at the cheese factory since I was like 21 or something.
You are the Packers fan. You work at the cheese factory.
Yeah.
You're born in Green Bay. You played and had gym class on the original Packers field, and you were chewed out on that field. Right?
Yeah.
Like you've done it all, man.
Yeah, I've been yelled at on that field while rolling around, like, trying to be.
Love it, man.
But yeah, I just started doing it. Like my buddy, the Green Bay guy, who is also
Yep, I know him.
sponsored by you. He's actually the one that told me. He's like, because I was doing like the meme stuff.
Yep.
And he's like, you should just start a podcast. I was like, okay. I don't know nothing about a podcast, but I already had some players following me on Instagram because the memes, and they thought they were funny. And I'm a pretty good meme maker, you know what I mean?
I think you are.
Yeah. So then I would like, hey, want to come on my podcast? And they'd be like, yeah, okay. And then I was like, oh, what am I going to ask him? I don't know nothing. And early on, it was pretty horrible. I'd ask him like weird questions, like, what's your favorite color? Like, I didn't know. I'd be nervous, stuttering and stuff. But I got better over the time. But yeah, he's really the reason why I kept kind of elevating and trying to make it harder. Now I'm doing live streams like 6 days a week.
What's your favorite interview of a Packer? Like, is there one that, or just even the most funny, whatever you think?
How Clinton Dix came to my house. Like,
cool.
And that was like crazy. Like, dude, my wife was like stressed on that more than I was. She's cleaning the house and everything. And then we had dogs, and they're very people dogs. Like, they would never leave them alone. So we put them in the basement where my wife was hanging out.
Yep.
And then we stacked chairs on the steps so they couldn't get up to the door to like
They couldn't
smell people
Yep.
and like scratch. But he was so cool because I gave him every reason not to come to my house. He was like, oh, I'll do your podcast. I'll come to your house. And I was like, no, we could do it, in Green Bay, like close, because I don't live in Green Bay. I live kind of north now.
Yep.
And I didn't want to be like a hassle for him because he was actually already gone from Green Bay. So he's come back to clean up his stuff. Then he's going to go to Milwaukee. So that's like, way out of his way, then to come back all the way around. So I was like, no, I'll come to you. He's like, no, I want to come to your house or whatever. And he was super cool. I was so nervous. He got me calm. And like, I didn't have like the good stuff like you have here.
Yeah.
So I had like one of those blue ball mics.
Yep.
And then I had another mic, but his mic, I could see on the screen it wasn't working. And I'm just in my head as we're talking, I'm just stressing that this is all for nothing. So in the video, you can see me kind of slide it over.
Good move though.
Just so I was like, because the blue ball is known for like, picking up sound.
Yeah, all around, right?
Yeah, so that was like, it ended up working out. I ended up actually deleting that podcast at one point, but I still know what happened. I have the video with bad audio, but no.
Well, that's pretty cool though, because you went from, like you said, you don't have any journalist background anyway. You have Packer players wanting to come to your house and be interviewed by you, right? And even if you don't have like your professional setup, they still like, I want to come do it.
Yeah.
And on top of that, you not only are well known in the Packer fan base in Wisconsin, but you're known across the NFC North now, for better or for worse, by whether it's Lions fans, Bears fans, Vikings fans, and that's wild, right?
Yeah, it's crazy because like I remember one time like it happened twice. Illinois radio and Minneapolis radio roasted me. I think it was Illinois. It was like 10 minutes. They played a clip of me, talking bad about the Bears or whatever, and then just roast me like, yeah, this guy's cross-eyed and he's this and that. And they didn't go too far, but I remember listening to it. Someone screen recorded it for me, and I got like 5-6 minutes in, and I'm like, that's enough. But I'm glad it happened, but I was like, I don't need to listen no more. And Minneapolis did the same thing. And, like Pat McAfee, I was on like a commercial break.
Yep.
They played one of my videos, and like NFL Films, one time they had a show where they played one of my rants about Aaron Rodgers. And then it was funny because they played it. They had one it was a playoff game, so they had a fan video for every team.
Yep.
And mine was for the Packers. And afterwards, they just laughed. Like they were like, what was that?
I think it's awesome though, because one, if these people like, for example, in Chicago are taking the time to rant about you for 5 or 6 minutes on sports radio, it means you're doing something, right?
Oh yeah, for sure.
And then being on the Pat McAfee show or NFL Films, like that's all of us as kids would have loved to been on any of that stuff. And you're doing it, man. You're living it. And I think that's just awesome. And I think, do you troll teams a little bit? Do you poke a little bit? Sure. But I think it's a good fun. So.
Oh, I think so too. And I think most people get that it's a joke. Like, cause I don't take personal shots. I don't take personal shots at players or fans that I'm like interacting with. I don't like go on their profile and look at, hey, your wife's this and that. Like you see it all over on Facebook.
Yep.
People just get crazy with it. I keep it football. It's not that serious. Like people always say, why are you so mad? Cause I'll make some rant video in my truck. But they don't realize like I'm ranting in my truck on my phone. And then after I'm done, all right, let's go to Quick Trip. Like I'm not, I mean, I care. I'm very passionate Packer fan. That's kind of how this whole thing started. Because, like, how it kind of started with the ranty stuff is Aaron Rodgers was always getting trashed.
Yep.
And it would get me mad. And, like, because, he's good. But people would, like, always trash. So then I would just make these. Sometimes they get fired up. And I'd just be like, Aaron Rodgers is, he's good and whatever.
Well, I feel, too, weren't you, like, an early defender and believer in Jordan Love, too?
Yeah. Yeah. To me, like, as a Packer fan, I'm very, very biased. And, like, to me, it's like, there's enough stuff in the world to make you mad. Like, I'm not going to be mad about the Packers. And, like, I see even, like, now the Packers are number one in the NFC. And, it's not the end of the season. We're still in the season. But some Packer fans are still mad. And to me, it's just, like, I try to be happy with my life. You know what I mean? I'm not going to be miserable. Even when they're good, people are miserable. So.
Well, and we know that fan base, and a lot of and maybe it's credit to you too, but some of the podcasters now have like the rant lines and stuff.
Yeah.
Because fans like to do that. And to your point, like it's the way to get it out and get over and move on with your, move on with your week. Yeah, your Sunday, you're mad, whatever happened. But I think when people see you do that, you come across as the every person Packer fan, and they're like, if Matt's mad about it, I can be mad about it, and then you move on. You're like, but I want to let everybody know how I feel about this, and I think a lot of people enjoy that because that's how they feel. And then they see you, maybe the Packers did lose, but next Sunday you're going to be right back at it. Probably starting Monday, you're going to be back preaching about how they're going to win this one, how you look forward to this and this and this. So
I'm always hopeful with the Packers. I mean, I think the Packers are run well. I think they can win any game. I don't think they're going to win every game, but I think that every game that they're going to be in, because I think that they're run well. And I don't think there's any reason to be upset as Packer fans. That's why they call it like entitled town.
Did you say entitled town?
Yeah, that's what they call it. I didn't coin that. I think Aaron Nagler is the one I heard say that first. So, but it's because like even when they're good, like they're in the playoffs. Like doing what I do, you couldn't do that. That's why like some of the bad teams, they don't have a lot of podcasters and content creators because they suck most of the time. But like Packers have, we're always going to be in it. We're always going to be we're never going to be like a 2-win team.
I just saw something, and there was like a podcast for one of the NFL teams, and they like quit podcasting because the team was so bad. So I'm trying to think what team it was. But anyway, to your point, but also I think to the the Packers thing is also more of a history and a legacy about NFL in general, right? Because I think when you talk to fans that even our rivals of the Packers, they talk about Lambeau Field and the atmosphere and the fans there is like a bucket list thing, right? I mean, you're go to the Packer game, you know what that's like.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Like I was just talking to Kevin, my ride over here, because we were down here, we were early, walking around town, Milwaukee here, and we were kind of looking, and someone stopped us and said, "Are you guys lost? Where are you trying to get to?" And I was like, "Hey, can you know somewhere we can get, sit down, get something to eat, maybe a drink or whatever?" Because then they told us, I was like, I don't know if it was this podcast or different one I was watching where someone said that doesn't happen in big cities, and like that's what everyone talks about when they come to Wisconsin, how just friendly and nice people are. That we're going to New York next month, and I was like, I don't know if anyone's gonna stop and like, you guys lost. So I'm like, get out of the way.
I think you're gonna find some nice people in New York, but you're gonna find a different atmosphere when you're.
Oh yeah, they got stuff to do. You know what I mean?
Or it's a little wild when you're out on the streets of New York sometimes because people are focused on going, and like how I think one of the Midwest things in general, but especially in Wisconsin, is we'll stop and help people. And I was in Eau Claire yesterday. And I'm running down the street trying to get in a quick run. It's been a long day, right? And I like to run, and I still got to drive to Milwaukee. And these two kids, they're probably 17 or 18-year-old, have a broken down car, and they flag me down. And they're like, "Hey, buddy, are you in a hurry?" I'm like, what do you need? They're like, "Can you help us push this car?" So, but the Midwest me just says like, no, I'm going to do this. I don't care. Like, I got to go places. So I help them. A cop shows up to help too. And then the guy goes, "Dude, just help me push it in. I don't have insurance." And I'm like, all right. So I help these young guys. We pushed the car in. They told the officer they didn't need any help. And I'm like, all right, you guys, like, let's get this off the road. Cause I'm like the only one who has insurance here. And I don't need to be the one that gets sued when we cause an accident. But anyway, help them all. And the point of the story is it's just natural, I think, for us to just help people out because that's kind of the culture here is it's friendly, folksy. Even when Milwaukee is a bigger city, it's like you can still, somebody stops by and says, "Hey, do you need help and directions?" And it's like, that's the cool part in Wisconsin. And then I feel like when you go to Green Bay, you could be dressed in a Bears thing. Now, you might get some Bears still suck chance. Yeah. But people are going to be nice. They'll probably offer you a beer. They're probably, things like that.
Yeah, I have a video actually. It was after a Packer-Bear game. I'm leaving with my son. I'm yelling, "Bears still suck," trying to get a chant going. And some lady comes right through us. She wearing a Bears shirt or whatever. And then I stopped, like, "I apologize. I'm sorry." Because I wasn't trying to rub it in her face. Yeah. And she laughed. I think she walked through it on purpose because she knew. But after I watched video a couple times. But that is like the Midwest because, like, I was at a Packer-Bronco game. And there was some guy with the big Broncos suit on. He had the hair and the whole thing. And someone threw something that hit him and stuck in his head. Or like a piece of food or whatever, and he turned around like he was ready to go. I was like, "Dude, no one's messing with you. Someone just got a fry loose."
Yeah, it was an accident.
You're good, dude. No one's gonna.
This is in Philadelphia.
Yeah, no one's gonna come after me. He looked like he was ready to defend his honor. Like, "Who did that?" Like, someone's down a fry. They're more upset than you are.
Yeah, that's a good point. Now, if it was a cheese curd, they probably pulled that out of here.
They're like, "Hey, we're coming to get it." They're coming down. They're jumping this rows.
I like how you're keeping the peace at Lambeau. You're letting everybody know accidents happen. Food would not be thrown. People don't waste fries, and they don't waste cheese.
I do. Whenever I'm at Lambeau, I always try, like, even like a Lions fan, whatever it is, Bears fan. If I see him, like, I'll enter, "Hey, what's going on?" Because that's the thing about sports. It's like real life isn't like social media. Like on social media, people are going at each other's throat. But I've never been at Lambeau Field. I've talked to Bears fans, Viking fans, every fan, and it's always like, "Hey, how's it going? Yeah, whatever." It's not like. Now, like, "Yeah, your quarterback is good." That's social media stuff is. I think the people are different too. People who go to the games are different than the people that are on social media, or they're just nicer in real life.
Well, social media is a place where people just like say, as they say, keyboard warriors say things they would never say to your face. And it's like, that's the problem with it because in general, fans, when they see each other, they're not going to talk like that. Now, you see some of it. I really see that at Lambeau at all. That's what I was going to ask you. And I don't know how many other stadiums you've been to, but if there were, obviously Lambeau Field, awesome. What's another stadium, and I'm not saying you've been there, that you would love to go to just in the NFL? Like if there was one stadium that you
I'm going to Giants Stadium this next month.
Okay.
But I don't think that's the one. I mean, I think it's
cool. It's cool to go, but that's not on your bucket.
But I think, I don't know. I feel, I don't like to say this, but I think the Dallas Stadium seems like just like huge and like Mecca that like I would be cool. My wife was there for the Super Bowl, Super Bowl 45.
Oh, she went there?
Yeah, dude, I got screwed on that deal.
She got to go and you didn't? Is that what happened?
Dude, the NFC Championship game when the Packers won, we were all, "Yeah, we're going to the Super Bowl." And my wife gets a call, and she's like, "We're going to the Super Bowl." And I was like, "Oh, we're going to the Super Bowl." She's like, "No, we are going to the Super Bowl." I was like, "We're going?" She's like, "Yeah, we're going. I got a call." And we're all like celebrating. And she's like, wait. No, I'm going to the Super Bowl. and her boss was taking her to the Super Bowl, her and some other girls or whatever, because she's a Packer fan. And I was and then I was sad. I was like, all right, but I was happy for her. She got to go.
You were at this point, then you kind of went down a little.
Yeah, but I was like, the Packers are still going to the Super Bowl. How sad can I be in this moment?
Right.
But I'm glad I found out right away, so it wasn't. But it was cool for her that she got to go. But she was telling me all types of stories. She was actually telling me one story that it was an ice storm during that Super Bowl in Texas. So all like people like couldn't move around. And then her bus driver or whatever, they were taking everyone to the stadium. He said, "Don't worry, everyone. I'm from Wisconsin. I know how to drive."
I know
because all these like buses they couldn't get up hills.
Yeah, they weren't used to the ice.
A little bit of ice. They don't know how to drive. And yeah. So I think Dallas Stadium would be cool. And the Packers don't lose there. So
generally, and they got a tie, right? Was that the last one? Was tie?
No, I think that they're undefeated in the playoffs. They have more playoff wins in Dallas than the Dallas Cowboys do.
Yeah, I'm sure Jerry Jones loves that.
Yeah, he likes that. I could go on. I could have a whole podcast about Jerry Jones.
Oh, I know. I love to see what you have to say about that. I'm sure you'll have a chance later this season to say something. What's a good Packer Lambeau Field memory? Like something that just sticks out in your mind that was fun and. I mean, I'm sure every Sunday is for you.
Yeah, right. Everyone is good. Like lot one, like the tailgates. Like, there's so many different ways to go about it. But I think for a game that I remember the most that sticks out is not even a win. When the Packers lost to the 49ers, because I was in row 2, like down by the end zone. Never really had those type of seats. Some dude just hit me up on social media. I'm like, hey, you want to come I got an extra seat, row 2. In the end zone, I was like, oh, sweet. So my wife was actually going to that game with her friend, like said, way not as good as me, right? And it was so cold that your beer was freezing, like in the parking lot tailgating. They didn't freeze inside the bowl because I think I was getting after a little quicker then. But it was like a huge party though. It wasn't even like you were at a Packer game. The group around us was so awesome. It felt like we were winning the whole game.
Yeah.
Like I expected them to win, and then that last little bit ended that. And then there was a 49er fan there that some lady was yelling at, like, get him, this guy sucks, because he's celebrating the win. And then I was like, dude, usually Lambeau Field's not like this or whatever. And I actually started talking to him, and I was like, hey, you should come on my podcast. Because I talked to him like throughout the whole game. Then I started talking to him, and he's like, yeah, he was with that lady.
Oh, yeah.
That's why she was yelling. She was trying to get him beat up.
They knew each other, and she was trying to stoke
and she's
a fire.
like, go home, send him home. And the Packer fans someone was trying to get riled up, but that's not really what they do. They attack people just because you lose. But
you did it all for nothing, basically.
I was like, dude, that's your person? I don't know who it was related to him or whatever, but he's like, yeah, I was with her. I was like, she tried to get you killed. He's like, yeah, I don't know. She had a couple drinks. She was mad. She didn't want him to celebrate. But that was probably one of the favorite things. But I think just the tailgate down at Lambeau Field, it's like even like training camp, you go down there, you see the same people all the time.
Yep.
You go down by lot 1, like I know a lot of the people down there. It's just cool, especially for me, like being kind of a little bit known. I know I'm being to say that braggadocious, but like people like kind of know who I am. So it kind of feels like you're walking and all of a sudden someone's like, oh my God. And they're excited to see you and then they're happy. It's like you know people.
Your friend group is massive.
Yeah, it's just like I don't feel like even like on social media, like when there's like, followers or whatever, I consider like just kind of like friends, and except for the ones who don't like me. But that's what it is going on at Lambeau Field. I think it's like that for a lot of people, not just because people know you, because you could be standing next to someone. Like my stepdad, he talked about the most Midwest person. I could have said my stepdad too, because he'll make a friend at a gas pump.
That's a Midwest
if he's
thing.
standing next to someone, he'll be like, hey, and he always says, how you been? That's what my stepdad says. Like, they're like, I don't know you. And I say it now. Sometimes I see these people, how you been? Like, I don't know, pretty good. Since when? What are you talking about?
Yeah, that's a problem when you go places with people like that, because it's hard to get anywhere, right? Because every person they talk to starts a conversation. My father-in-law's like that too. He just randomly will start a conversation at like Fleet Farm with some guy. And you're like, we're working on a project, man.
Yeah,
like,
we have stuff to do.
Right.
You stop, like my stepdad would always be a thing when we stop and get gas. My mom would be like, don't talk to nobody. Be at the gas pump. It's fall. It's fall. Let's go. We're on our way to Bay Beach.
Right. Oh, so I don't know if you've seen the Milwaukee Uncut podcast at all, but Richie on that, he goes to Lambeau Field and he's always asking people what's like the perfect amount of pre-game beers to drink.
Yeah.
And
they do a good job.
Yeah, they do a good job. And I was wondering, what's your take on what's the perfect amount of pre-game beers before you get into the stadium to have?
I mean, I seen people saying like 13. I think it depends what kind of game it is. Like because I live up, I don't live in Green Bay.
You live on the outskirts.
Yeah. So if I if I had to work and I had to drive home, obviously it's a little bit different.
Yeah.
You'd probably prefer that.
I would let's say if you have a designated driver, how about that?
I think, dude, if you don't have if you don't have to work, you got a driver, you ain't got to worry about driving. It's a night game. Dude, if it's a night game, it's maybe 15, dude. Dude, you're drinking all day long if it's a night game. And you're drinking like so long that it doesn't even matter anymore. You know what I mean? I feel like, because you'd probably take breaks or whatever, but like it's a night game. People are showing up, 9 in the morning or whatever, tailgating, you're partying. If it's a noon game, probably not as many.
Yeah, I think you're on spot with what the people he asked. I feel like was in the 13 to 18 range, so 15 is probably right there.
Yeah, I think especially a night game early on. If it's noon, like I don't usually get down at slamming beers at 8 in the morning or whatever.
What's your favorite tailgate? Like when you're when you're lot one and stuff, are you enjoying any food? Like sometimes the cool thing when I've been to tailgate, people will be offering you stuff. Like it's hard to get. Even when you go to the Brewers game too, people will be offering you brats. Some guy was offering me steak, and I'm like, whoa, dude, you're stepping up your tailgate game big time. So.
I eat a steak and then get all full. Like I'm just gonna head out, head to the house. But I don't like eat too much at tailgating. Sometimes people offer you. There's a lot of brats. I always feel like if you're like panhandling, well, you guys cooking some food over here?
Yeah, right. That's why I try not to ask, but people like to your point. So people recognize me and they recognize you. So they're always trying to offer you something. And so sometimes I end up taking stuff because I feel bad shooting them down. But
I go there. I leave with a lot of stickers and koozies.
Yeah,
which I love. I love stickers.
I know the Packer games, Packer tailgating. Any awesome, funny story from tailgating or the game that I like the Broncos one. That was a good one, but anything that sticks out?
From tailgating? Dude, I don't know. Ryan Rubel?
Yep, I know Ryan, yeah.
The what do they call that? The
shot.
The shot ski.
Yeah, shot ski.
I think one of my favorite memories of tailgating is because my son, he's over 21.
Yep.
He's 24 now, or whatever he is. Probably got that wrong. But he, watching him, like hanging out with him, going to tailgates with him and doing shot skis with him and drinking, that's like one of my favorite memories. And we got videos of it. Like you think about that when your kids are young. You're like, oh, when they get older, how's it going to be? And it's cool. Like my older son, like I party with him. And he can get after it. Like he might be a Midwest legend.
We might need to bring him on here.
Dude, like that whole friend group they got, dude, they get after it. Yeah. I think about that. Like when I was young, we got after it, but I don't know. These kids can go. They don't stop. Like he'll be texting me like I'm going to work at 4 a.m. He's like just getting home. It's like I don't think I was ever that ambitious. Like
I do remember once when I was probably in my late teens, early 20s, and I was living with my grandpa for a little bit. And I came home about that time, and he goes, "Oh, you're up early." I said, "No, I'm going to sleep." I just got home, buddy.
One of my favorite moments, like short little moments at Lambeau Field, is I have a video. Whenever people walk out of the concessions, they're recording the stadium, kind of like looking around. You never look at the video again, but people like to do it. I was doing that, and I was, half in the bag. Like I might have been one of those 13 beer days before I got in there, and it was wintertime, and I slipped right on the step, and I fall, and I fall hard, and everyone's there. I'm right by all the people. Everyone's like, "Oh my God, are you okay?" And then I jump up and I say, "That's a good spot right there." And I don't even know what that means. Like I was saying, like I meant to fall.
Yeah, right.
Just had to check it out. That one's good. You guys can, you're safe. Come on through now. And
safety guy, man.
Yeah, I was like, I just had to test this little ice right there, but doesn't hurt.
Well, I got to ask you then about one of the coolest things that's happened in Green Bay in a long time, the draft, right?
Yeah.
Maybe it won't happen in our lifetime again, but who knows? What did you think of that, the draft experience in Green Bay?
I think it was beautiful. Like I think everyone benefited from it. They did a good job. The bars down there did a good job. Stadium View. I spent a lot of time over there. I think it was like 18 bands in like 3 days. I forget the exact number, but like just the whole area. I think not just the Packers, but it was it went off like without a hitch. I feel like there was only one arrest. I think, but it wasn't like everyone was kind of saying like the Packers can't handle it. I think they showed that they can. That was a huge party, dude. I remember walking back to my ride, and there was just cops in front of Stadium View with like combat and like assault rifles, just holding them. I remember I think I got a picture of it, and I was like, yeah, you don't see that every day, you know what I mean? But I think they were, after the draft ended, everyone was going to go over there. I think that was just their little reminder.
Behave. I know. I went to Stadium when I was there. It was cool too because I brought my oldest son. Yeah, and he was there, and like to the point with you, my son was younger, so he he couldn't be having alcohol. I suppose he could in Wisconsin, but his mom made it very clear that ain't happening. So he just got to check out the scene and be in Green Bay for the draft, and he loved it. And when he then ended up having to head back to Hudson, and then I stayed. A lot of my buddies are from Green Bay because I grew up there. I went to Stadium View, and it was just there was a lot of fun, a lot of energy, but not a lot of trouble from what I saw.
Oh yeah, I didn't see any I went to my friend is the lead singer of Ask Your Mother band. Shout out to them.
Yeah,
they do a great work, dude. And I was in front row of that concert, like in one of their tents, and that was like one of the memories I'll have forever. Like I've never been in front row of a concert. I mean, obviously it's inside Stadium View, but just rocking out. And then while we're doing it, like people were coming up trying to say hi to me and stuff. It was like the most crazy thing.
Fun time.
Yeah, and then he was like singing a Bears still suck, got a Bears still suck chant going on. It was awesome.
Living in Green Bay, you're gonna run into the Bears fans. So what's your and you gave a little story about the Bears lady that came through and you guys were chanting and you're like, I'm sorry, I don't want to hurt your feelings. Do you have any? What's a good Bears story that you remember? Bears fan or Bears story that you can? Think of?
Growing up, my best friend Chuck lived next door in Fond du Lac, right? And he was a Bears fan, and this is like the '80s. The Bears are good, Packers are bad. Like all my uncles were in there. Like he wasn't allowed at our house on Sundays. Like they would tell him even on Monday if they lost, like get out. I can't do it. You come back Wednesday. But he was like a friend, like he didn't have to knock type of friend, you know? Like he could just come and go as he pleased or whatever. And they would just get so mad. And like I didn't really get it because back then, like I hated the Bears because like I was kind of taught to. That's why all this Bears still suck stuff comes out. Is because like that time of my life, like that's why I was told the Bears still suck so much because and that was before like the Bears still suck thing, but just the hatred for the Bears because my best friend was a Bears fan. And I think they were just trying to make sure that I didn't go over to the other side. Like, this kid's kind of a follower. We gotta rein him in a little bit. He's gonna get demented over there at the nice house.
I like Chuck though. Basically, Chuck might not even be allowed to come to like Wednesday, depending on how bad the loss was.
And he would talk trash. He'd come in just swinging like, "Hey, you guys see Peyton Manning?" Or not Peyton Manning, Walter Payton. I get the Paytons messed up.
That's all right.
But yeah, he would always. I remember he had a Walter Payton autographed card, and then I didn't realize how expensive that. Once how valuable that was. I was like, I met him like later on in life, because we moved away from each other, and someone stole it. I'm like, yeah, that's what you get for telling all your friends where it is.
Yeah, you got to keep that hidden, buddy.
You told me. Yeah. I almost stole it. And, we were poor. Don't tell poor people where you got the expensive stuff.
So have you seen him then since have you?
No, not since we were adults. Probably I was late teens, 17, 18 when we last.
It'd be funny to just talk to him about the Packer Bear because obviously things have changed.
Yeah, things have changed a bit. He probably wouldn't want to talk about it anymore.
Yeah, not right now.
That's kind of how Bears fans are.
Yeah.
They talk about it. Like right now, they got a little something going. They're excited. They lose about 4 or 5 games. They start talking about the draft.
Well, the preseason usually is where the heavy talk goes on, right? They win the preseason.
Preseason champs, that's what we call them. Yeah, every preseason training camp, like, this is going to happen, that's going to happen. They got a little something going right now, but I don't expect it to continue. And that fan base is quick to go draft. You know what I mean?
Well, and that's one of the things that I think is wild is the social media comments on your posts and your social media accounts where the Bears fans and Detroit, anybody in the NFC North. I mean, you get people, even Cowboy. I mean, you dish it out to everybody. Basically.
Oh yeah, I'm an equal opportunity insulter.
Yeah.
If your team isn't the Packers, they trash.
And I think that it's fun to see the energy, and I think you keep it pretty clean. I mean, I haven't seen everything, but I do think that it's you are able to touch hit that button on a lot of opposing teams' fan base, and they come after you a bit. I mean, obviously, Packers beat the Detroit Lions early in the season, so I'm sure that that was.
The Lion fans get rowdy, dude. I always said that I think Packer, Bear, and Viking fans can all agree that Lion fans have just kind of unsufferable. Like they've had like 2 or 3 good seasons.
Yeah,
and they come out swinging. They come out wild. They lost to the Chiefs. I always say that the Lions have 2 losses, and they have 2 excuses for those losses. The Packers, we weren't ready. That was week 1. We had new coordinators, and then they lose to the Chiefs. The refs took it from us. Didn't you see? So the Lion fans, that's what I think from now and forever, they'll be known as the whiners of the NFC North.
So you're as you say, and I agree with you. You're good at making memes. You're good at doing a lot of stuff on social media. What's one of your favorite? Do you have a favorite post or anything that you think about where that was just maybe early on something that went viral?
Yeah, I think, dude, one of the first things, because I used to post on Instagram the memes, and then they'd go automatically to Facebook. But I'd never look at that Facebook page. I had no followers. Like, even my mom wouldn't like it. You know what I mean? Like, nobody was over there. So I never really looked at it. And then I posted this meme. It was Chris Farley, from the movie.
Yep.
Black sheep falling down the hill.
And you know Chris Farley's Wisconsin guy, right?
Oh, yeah. He's a big Madison guy. He's my my hero. So it was that part where he's falling down the hill and he's hanging out of that twig, and then it breaks and he falls. And then at the end he goes, "What was that all about?" So I made it was like 2016, I think. Packers were bad. Aaron Rodgers got hurt. So they were bad. So I said, it was at the end of the year, and I said, 2016 Packers season be like. And then it was like falling down the hill. And then it went super huge on Facebook. And that's how my Facebook following kind of started. So I was like, oh, now I'll start paying attention now. And then I was doing all types of memes. Like I would do a lot of Chris Farley.
Yep.
Chris Farley is an absolute legend.
I grew up loving Chris Farley. And then the more at first I didn't even, when I was young, I didn't realize he was from Wisconsin. He went to Marquette. It turned out he also was a camp counselor like in Minocqua. So he's like totally Wisconsin, dude.
And actually I know a guy who
I grew up
was
with him
in school with him, was actually met him. My producer, the guy who produces my, helped me with the graphics and stuff, my live stream, he's somewhere along the way back in the day met. I think the story was he met Chris Farley, Adam Sandler, and David Spade.
Okay.
And they were just in a place. And then I think maybe, I forget where he was. And then he's like, "Hey, guys." Then Chris Farley said, turn around, like, "Hey," and he kind of did a little thing. And then Adam Sandler was like, "Hey, how's it going?" And David Spade was like, "Yeah, see you later."
But see, Chris Farley's a Midwest guy. He's gonna engage in and the thing too is if you've even it sounds like it because you're doing memes, but if you go back and look at his stuff, it's still funny. It's still funny now. Where you look at some people and you're like, oh, I guess that was funny when I was a kid, but Chris Farley is still legit funny. If you look at his SNL stuff, you look at his movies, you go back now as we sit here decades later, still funny, man.
Oh yeah, if you could YouTube his Jay Leno when he's on the Tonight Show. Like he's hilarious. Like David Letterman, he's got one where he sits down and he falls back in a chair. Like he's just hilarious. I think he's the funniest human that ever lived.
Yeah.
He's not a stand-up, but he's just funny. Like I watch him and I watched him growing up and thinking that's kind of where I get some of my stuff from.
Can you imagine you and him together at Lambeau Field?
Dude, he's way.
I know, but could you just imagine that?
Yeah.
Dude, that would be
wild.
Yeah,
you take it too quick. I still feel bad about that all the time. What Chris Farley could have been. Yeah. Kevin James might not be with us if Chris Farley was.
Right.
Because he really got a lot of those roles. Yeah. I think Kevin James is funny. I don't mean no disrespect to him. But Chris Farley, that's what those roles,
He's a Midwest legend, a legend in general. I mean, it would be hard for anybody to replace him. He created kind of the comedy that he did, which was like the self-deprecating, but still really fun. I mean, just awesome
that's kind of how, what I do with my eye stuff.
Yeah, you do a lot of that stuff too, which people really love, and you have fun doing it. Kind of, I think part of it is, you like the Packers, I wouldn't say trolling, but just getting people fired up a little bit on the internet and representing the Packers and giving it to other NFC North people. But I also think you like making people laugh and entertain people, right? I mean,
I think that's my favorite. When someone comes up to me and they say, I love your TikTok, you're hilarious. I like that more than someone hey, you said that really clever thing about the Packers.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I like making people laugh. That's kind of how the video stuff started, because I did the meme stuff. And then the reason I did the meme stuff, because my son was doing graphics, player graphics, and I was just trying to do something that we could kind of talk about and kind of keep us bonded or whatever. But then when Vine came up, I started doing videos, and that's 6-second videos. And then I realized I can do the eye joke in 6 seconds, because that's kind of half the joke is just my eyes. And I would just say something stupid. Then it started growing, and then I was up to 20,000 followers, and then Vine kind of died off. So then that same guy, the Green Bay guy, said, we were talking about it. He's like, just kind of convert it to Packers. And then I did. One of my first videos I did, Devontae Adams. I said, I had my eyes all crossed. I think I had sunglasses on at first. And I said, yeah, people say Devontae Adams a top 5 wide receiver. I say he's number 1, or I forget what I said, but I take my glasses off and I say, I don't know, but he looks pretty good to me, or something like that.
Yeah.
Some kind of corny little video like that. And Devontae Adams actually DM'd me and said, that's hilarious. He didn't comment on it, I don't think he wanted the public to know. But he's like, that's hilarious.
He said that might be a little risky. Because, but I do think that itself, that, you had Clinton Dix at your house. Yeah, I know you've interviewed a bunch of different Packers.
Preston Smith was another one that was cool
I remember Preston Smith stuff.
He never did a fan podcast. I'm the only fan podcast he did. He's the only one. I'm the only one he done, except for like ESPN, and Pat McAfee was on there. Because that's the big thing people don't realize is that people like me, the players get nothing out of it.
Right.
Hopefully they have a good time, but it's not like they're gonna gain a bunch of followers from it. Like I'm not ESPN. I'm not Russell Nicolet. You know what I mean? No, but like people go on like even like Charlie Barron's podcast.
Sure.
They get something out of that.
Right.
He has a big audience. People, and then not that I'm proud of the audience I have, but they're not getting. So people have to understand when you ask players to come on the podcast, like they're doing you a favor, 100%.
Right.
So, and I think that's how you have to ask.
Even so, like, you've got these Packers that they were interested in. I think it's because you come across as like the everyday Packer fan. And then, but to have Devontae Adams DMing you, that's funny. I mean, and he's still like clearly not a Packer, but still a great player, a legend. And I think that says a lot for what your brand is and what you do. And like, again, you're not doing it, you're not getting rich, you don't have this big audience, but you're doing it for the love of it, and people enjoy it. Like, and they enjoy it so much that you have actual NFL players saying like, dude, that's funny. I think
I think that is what it is. Like people like, because I'm just an average Packer fan. I'm not all knowing, and I always say that on my podcast, like anyone can buy a microphone and start a podcast. You know what I mean? So like I'm not all knowing. I'm a basic Packer fan. I know stuff. Not like I'm an idiot, but I'm not like you. Most of the Packer podcasters, like they're gonna break down. Like, oh, they were a nickel on this and they were doing this. Mine is just the conversation you'd probably have if you were at a bar.
What's the one Packer fan? Or how about the two questions I'm going to ask you, and this is unfair probably, but who's your favorite Packer of all time?
Paul Hornung.
Okay.
Who I've never seen.
And why is he your favorite Packer?
Because he's party. And I always heard these stories, like Paul Hornung, like he was like going to quit football because he's like, this isn't fun, we're not winning. And then Vince Lombardi came and he ended up becoming a legend.
Yeah.
But they would go out partying. I liked the number 5, like when I was a kid.
Okay.
People always had favorite numbers back in the day for some reason, and 5 was one of mine. I just always loved him. And then when I got older, I started like reading up on him and watching YouTube videos, people talking about him. And I just liked the history of him.
Yeah, and he was that look at every man, like want to have fun, want to play football, want to party a bit, right?
Yeah, like all of them back then. You could pick any of them.
Yeah, good representative. Yeah, I mean that the halftime locker rooms were a little bit different than where you might have a beer and a cigarette.
Yeah, they're over there just throwing some darts.
Now they're hydrating you and making right.
I know, giving you shots.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
How about who's a Packer player that you would like to interview that you have not yet?
I think right now, probably Jordan Love.
Okay.
I mean, there's a lot. Like, I would love to talk to, Parsons. I think he'd be fun. Rashawn Gary, who I've met.
Yeah.
Super nice guy. He'd be a good one. But Jordan Love, just because there's so much I think people don't know about Jordan Love. Not that I would ask him, like, what was the childhood like? You know what I mean? Or like, but like, I feel like he doesn't talk so much. It's during press conferences. We don't know a lot about him. He did the Micah Parsons podcast when he was with Dallas.
Yeah.
Parsons with the Dallas. He had a podcast. You've seen, I watched something there, but I think he'd be an interesting person to talk to. I think he's got a cool story.
Well, I think he should get on your podcast. We get a shout out to Jordan Love.
Yeah, Jordan Love.
You were defending him and kind of a big fan of him, I think, early on.
Like, when he first got drafted. But
people were talking. That was not a position that most people were on board with. You were taking a position that was different than a lot of other people.
Oh yeah, but to me, it's like I don't know a lot about Jordan Love. Like before he got drafted, I'm not a big college guy. But when they drafted him, I was surprised. But instantly, I was like, all right, that's our guy. That's gonna be next. Aaron Rodgers is still there, but I'm like, if you play for the Packers, I'm with you. Unless there's a reason not to be.
Yeah.
Like if there was a player that was whatever doing some foul stuff and whatever that we knew about, I've never seen that happen. But I'm saying if other than that though, I support.
Yeah.
And Jordan Love, like I knew that being drafted that high, he's obviously is a future. So I researched him, see what people are talking about him. And like before he got drafted by the Packers, some people were saying really good things about him. But once he got drafted by the Packers and it was kind of real, everyone's like, oh, they should have got a wide receiver.
There was not, and I mean this is a generalization, but there was not a lot of backing of Jordan Love that move by a lot of people. I think, like I said, you were early one. I think one thing that's always stands out to me about Jordan Love is he's always been humble and soft-spoken about things as far as, and not leaning into any controversy, just kind of like saying, I think I let my actions and my playing speak for me, right? And I think that's helped because clearly filling the shoes of Aaron Rodgers are massive shoes, right? And then Aaron Rodgers is not only massive shoes as a player, but just, I mean, he's a celebrity, right?
Yeah, and the Packers are too. You know, you have to go Favre, Rodgers, and like that's a lot of pressure. Like, hey, we don't want to miss one here. But yeah, Jordan Love did everything that he was supposed to do. He was supposed to be quiet. You know, you're a backup quarterback. You got in. The same thing Rodgers did. You didn't. You know, Rodgers was quiet at first. He gets a little more chatty these days. But Jordan Love, like he's a backup quarterback. Didn't say that. Didn't cause controversy. Didn't say I want to play. Even when it was coming towards the end, when all that was going down, he could have piped up and said, you know, what I want to play. I want to be the man and, you know, get this old guy out of here. Like he could have been a little bit more vocal. It's good that he wasn't because that's his role. And then when he's the man now he can say what he wants.
Yeah, well, hopefully he gets on your podcast, shoots you maybe a DM and just says, hey, Matt. So you've been doing more things as always. What do you see? What's your plans with all the social media, all the kind of stuff you're doing? What is your plans or your future? What are you looking to do, even if you're not doing it yet, that you know you're hoping you'll get to?
I've been doing 6 days a week, these live streams. Like the watch parties are what's most fun for me. Like watching a Packer game, and people watch the Packer game, and then they'll have some people mute their TV and have me on.
Sure.
Which is wild. And that's a lot of pressure. Then I'm like, oh, I better really be good, like to know what's going on. But I think that's really the plan, is just to keep doing and trying new stuff. I just think you need people doing content. You just have to keep trying different stuff. And I listen. Like I've had Charlie Barron's on my podcast, and every time I talk to him, if I run into him somewhere, I just like ask him questions. It's just like trying to absorb some information. But I think that's what it is. If you just keep trying different stuff, see what works, and have fun. Like if you're doing a podcast, if you're not having fun, then nobody watching is. That's why my live streams, like for the watch party, I just try to be like just silly and goofy. Don't take it serious.
Yeah.
Because there's people for that. Like I talked to a top podcaster when I first started, and as I want to try to do this, and he said, don't try to be like me. He's like, just have fun, be you. Because there's different channels, right? Like there's a serious, if you want to watch Packers content, there's places to go and get all the information. Like, you know.
Right.
They're very smart.
The technical part.
Yeah. Pack a Day podcast, you know, shout out to them. They're all the smart folks over there. And then there's the, you know, Tom Grassi, he does great things for the community, but he's entertaining. And like I try to find my little spot. Just be yourself.
Well, and I think when you're being yourself, you know, that's when you get picked up by the NFL, right? And you get picked up by Pat McAfee's show, and that's really cool. And you get a message from Davante Adams.
Dude, and like one of the cooler things that happened to me from doing this is I was a celebrity umpire for a Packers softball game.
Awesome.
That was the first year that Zadarius Smith and Preston Smith were there, and I'm fist bumping Zadarius Smith. And his hand is just like my head. That's what it felt like. But I had a bad call, and Aaron Rodgers yelled at me.
Did he?
Yeah, Aaron Rodgers and Davante Adams, because I wasn't paying attention. Because I'm, you know, all these guys are. I'm a diehard Packer. I'm like, oh, I can't believe I'm this close to all these people. And they kind of told me when I went in, they're like, hey, you're not really an umpire. You're just kind of there. You can go live on Instagram. They're kind of like, don't take it too serious, you know. We're just, you know.
Dude, Rodgers competitive.
But they thought I was the umpire, and then he is competitive. So the call came in. Everyone looked at me. There was a slide, right? Second base, and that's all me, 100%. And then I look, everyone in the whole place is looking at me. And I was like, I don't know. I was looking at Rodgers. You know what I mean? So then.
You call him out? Is that what happened?
I think I called him out, and you should have been safe. But whatever I did, it was the opposite of what Rodgers wanted.
Yeah.
So he starts yelling at me, you know, not too crazy, but he's like, what are you doing? And I was just like, I don't know. And like everyone, and Davante Adams is kind of up there, and I was just like, oh. And like people were like on the sideline because a few players were DMing me after, like Robert Tunyon. And he's like, we were in a dugout laughing. We thought you were going to cry. I was like, I wasn't far, dude. And then, but Davante Adams actually DM'd me. I actually DM'd him in, and I was like, I'm real sorry, but I kind of felt bad because I screwed it up, and he's like, don't worry about that. That's all in fun. I'm like, yeah, I had a good time.
Yeah.
But after that happened, like Rodgers looked at me, and he was still mad. He goes, are you umping or just hanging out?
Oh, dude.
I heard that one in my sleep. No,
and
but
I can picture the eyes looking at you too, because you've seen him like with his teammates, and he gave you that, like, you better get your shit together, right?
Well, and I get it because they're competitive dudes. Like, you don't get to the NFL. They're like, well, it's a charity softball game. Yeah, he wants to win.
Yeah.
He wants the offense to win that thing. So I didn't take it. You know, I remember going to like a graduation party after that. like right after, and everyone saw it, and I was like the talk. Everyone was like, "Hey, I want to hear it. You got yelled at by Aaron Rodgers." And at first, I kind of felt weird about it, like I screwed up and like I failed. But then I was thinking like, I got yelled at by Aaron Rodgers. That's awesome.
Well,
I didn't take it personally after that. I still rooted for him. I wasn't like I was like, he's a meanie.
but did you ever go back and like see the call to see what it should have been?
No.
I'm just curious. I was just curious if you did.
I don't even know. I'm sure that I know it was
videotape.
streamed.
I would just be curious. We should go back and look at
see
that.
if
And
we
I
can
want to see
find
what
out.
your call was, because you could have been right, but like you said, you weren't completely paying
guessed.
attention. Yeah.
I remember going off and like as I was leaving, all the people some people knew me, and a lot of people when I was going in like, "Hey, good luck," that's cool you're doing that. And then when I was leaving, they're like, "What happened there?" I was like, "I got yelled at by Rodgers." Like, yeah, we know.
We were watching, buddy.
Yeah, and like, "You're all right?" I'm like, "No, I'm good, dude." It is what it is. I still root for Rodgers. Like, obviously, he was just fired up.
Yeah.
I don't take it personal.
Yeah.
At the time, though, I was like, it was like so much. Like when it was happening, I remember even like the end of the game. After that moment, I was like, I just want this to end. Like I felt like everyone was watching me, and I was stupid.
It went from fun to like real quick.
yeah.
Right? Like,
But that's what it is. Like it's a learning experience. I think all that stuff that you do, even if you feel like you screwed it up, and that's a charity stop again. Who cares? No one thought Rodgers wasn't that night thinking about a dang umpire over there. So like you learn from stuff, you get better. They never asked me to do it again. So
we should tag Rodgers in this podcast and ask him if he remembers that, because sometimes something tells me like. Again, I'm not trying to overplay it and say like, oh, this is so terrible, but he's the kind of guy that things really matter because he's super competitive, which has made him such a great athlete. So if he goes, I remember when Matt made that bad call.
I talked to Tom Crabtree, who's friends with him, and he used to do my podcast with me. And at that time, I was telling him about that, and he's like, he's competitive. He's like, don't take it personal.
Yeah.
Don't be a wuss about it.
Well, it'd be cool if you ever got to talk to him, because the two things. One, you can talk to him about Packers and sports, and then you can bring up that.
Yeah, do you remember that?
Yeah, that would be fun. That's a two. I would like to see Rodgers on your podcast and Jordan Love, and I'd like to see Micah Parsons. I think all those guys would be good, because with the Micah Parsons thing, you have the ability to really get at the Dallas Cowboys fan. Obviously, he came from the Cowboys, and I mean, not that he hates a Cowboys fan, but that would be an interesting discussion for you guys to have.
Yeah, I always say, dude, I think I'm the only person that's ever interviewed these players like buzzed up, because I drank like during the podcast. Like I have Kenny Clark on, that Preston Smith one. I was a few beers in, and that's from Tom Crabtree, because when I first started, I get really, really nervous, and I'm like, dude, I'm so nervous like doing it, even with like friends. I want to be good. And he'd be like, dude, sometimes I just have a couple drinks beforehand. And I'm like, oh, I'll try that. I don't think he meant to the degree that sometimes I do it.
Can I ask you this question? You don't have to answer. Is there any other team, if you couldn't be a Packers fan, that you'd be a fan of the NFL? And if you say no, that's fine. I'm just going to put you on the spot.
No, I wouldn't be. I think if the Packers didn't exist or ceased to exist, I think I would. I don't know. I think I might stop watching football.
All right.
I love football.
Fair enough.
I do love the sport. Only fan base that the team that I kind of respect is like the Bills fans.
Bills Mafia?
Yeah, the Bills Mafia. I actually have a part of Bills Mafia. When Bills Mafia started, partly because of me, this is on their website how they got started. But Nick Barnett, who's a Packer player, went to. I had a Twitter account called Mufasa's Hair.
Okay.
Because he had his hair was big or whatever, and his nickname was Mufasa. So somehow I thought, let's make a Twitter account, Mufasa's Hair. And he engaged with it, and he would talk with it, and he would, so he got known. And then he went to the Bills, and Bills fans, kind of welcomed him in and welcomed his hair in as well, the Twitter account. So then someone tweeted both of us and said, Bills Mafia, what do you guys think of that? It's like a slogan, like they were all getting, and I said, hey, I love that or whatever. And then Nick Barnett started talking about it, and that's kind of how it started. It wasn't because of me, but I would say I had a
little part in it,
little fraction of I was there at least, and then it's on their official website, the Bills Mafia website, how they originated, and I was Mufasa's hair. But
does it mention Mufasa's hair in there?
Yeah,
dude. Look at all the
Twitter
parts that you've played in the NFL. And I think when you're saying the Bills fan, I mean, obviously you have that connection. But when I was in Florida, I met a Bills guy. And I think the Bills fan, to some extent, and I know it's a generalization, they're that blue collar working class folks, like a lot of Packers. So I think that's where you get it. And they live and die on the Bills too. But the guy that I met, he was an electrician, and he was super cool guy, right? And so I message him every once in a while when the Bills are like if they take a bad beating, like, man, that sucked, and he's like, oh, dude, I just can't get a break. Or like, I'm like, hey, congratulations on your win.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Yeah, they're good people. Like all the Bills fans I've seen on Twitter, or like social media in general. But even like the Bills fans, like they'll do is like, they're playing this team and their tight end gets hurt really bad.
Yeah.
And then the Bills fans will go and look at this guy, find out what charity he has, and then flood money to his charity.
Dude, that's really cool. Though.
That's like the thing that they do. And so like Bills fans, I've always got respect for. But I could never choose a different team. Like if the Packers, I'm glad that
that's a fair answer. That's why I threw it. I know it's a difficult question. One last question, because then we'll get you out of here. But I was just thinking about, because we were talking earlier about Bears Creek. What's your favorite Bears Creek memory? Was it when you went back with the kilt or the skirt on, or is there another one that you could think of?
Probably that. One thing that's messed up about Bears Creek is like we were at this place one time and there's older kids came and they would just ask people to borrow their bike.
Yeah.
And they would just steal it. And this is what happens. So someone asks you see big kid coming, get you on your bike and get down the hill. They get going. Because they would just act, oh, hey guys, how's it going? And I remember it happened one time with this kid. And then we were just like stuck with him. And then they rode off. And he's like, all right, well, I'm sure he'll be back soon. And I'm like, we don't want to tell him, like, hey, your bike just got jacked. I think one of us ended up just giving him one of our bikes, like, just take this.
Oh, yeah,
you're not going to get home.
You're not going to get a bike back here.
But yeah, we would do Bears Creek. I think mostly it's just, you could be in there all day long, never see the sun.
Yeah.
Because of all the trees.
It's
and
just
hanging out. No parents, no adults. If you're bleeding, that just happened to you.
Yeah. Well, it's a wild place. We're going to see if we can get a picture for people that haven't been there. Because the people from Green Bay are in the area are going to know Bears Creek. Other people that are watching this are going to be like, what are you talking about?
Even at work, I live north of Green Bay, no one knows. Or they think they kind of know like it's a thing, but never really been in the belly of it.
Yeah.
I think, especially at that time, I don't know if it's still like that. Because, now everyone's about safety,
Sure. They probably have
They don't want to get injured and have to call.
Yeah, call me. They put some probably restrictions on it now because I remember it as a kid. I guess I should ask one more question. What's your favorite Green Bay East memory?
Green Bay East memory? I don't know. I didn't like it. I didn't like school. And it's funny because my sister,
other than getting yelled at on the historic Packers
that's probably was the only story. Like,
do you remember that was your gym teacher that was yelling?
Yeah, that was a gym teacher. And because my sister was a big deal at East, and I went on to become a semifinalist for the Olympics.
Oh, really?
Yeah, she's like got records at Green Bay.
What sport?
Cross country.
Oh, very cool.
Yeah. She's a big time runner. So she was like, everyone, like teachers are like, oh, you should be like your sister. But my brother, he would get in trouble. And so they're like, what way are you going to go? I'm like, I think I'm going to head over here. You know what I mean? Because I'm not running. And they tried to get me into it. They're like, hey, I would she'd get up super early for school, get to school like 2 hours early. I'm like, dude, I was late for school. I ain't early for school.
Yeah, I think I'm going this way.
East was a weird time back then because back then kids would smoke cigarettes across the street.
Yeah.
And then the cross country runners would run right through the cloud of smoke.
I went to Bayport. We had this thing called the pit that was like right outside of school, but it was on the sidewalk, so technically it was off school grounds. The same thing. We would be in class, and the teacher would be like, "Hey, we're doing roll call." And then they'd be like, where's so-and-so? I won't mention any names. I'm not getting on the podcast. And then we'd like look over and you'd see him or her like in the pit sitting there smoking and be like, that's, if you're looking for, I'm sure they'll be in here in like 2 minutes.
Yeah, dude, that was such a wild thing that right across the street, and the school cop there, Officer Schenkelberg.
Yeah.
I remember him. No one cared. They're like, it's fine.
It was a different time.
And then the cross-country kids would run through. East was a wild time. I remember one time there was a big fight out in the front, and it was like a massive fight. Not like it was like 30 people where they had to call the cops and stuff. And I was in school suspension. And then they closed the door and then like, hey, it's almost kind of like a lockdown.
Right.
And they're thinking the kids inside in school suspension, I knew those kids fighting. And they're like, you guys can't leave. And I was
they didn't want you to go.
What do you think? I'm going to go run out there and catch a beating? My friends ain't winning.
I love it.
No, but I remember it was a big time fight, but I don't fight.
Yeah.
I'm and whatever, how many fights I got into in my life.
That's all right, though. You don't even get in fights.
I used to say, like, when I was young, I couldn't fight, but I could run. Now I can't run either. So now I got to learn how to talk to people right.
Now you're just a friendly guy, right?
Yeah, like, hey, how you doing, bud?
Making people laugh and giving them, bringing joy to the world, right?
Yeah.
One Bears fan at a time.
Yeah, then just trying to make the whole Midwest love me, you know what I mean?
I think you're doing a good job. All right, man. Well, we'll wrap it up on this. Thanks so much for being here. I appreciate it. I know you're a busy guy. You got a lot of cool stuff going on. I can't wait to see what else you got up to. I know you and I talked about a few other things that you have going on social media. I'm going to take a look at them because I like your ideas. I like the energy you bring.
Yeah.
I'm hoping that I will see some more of those Packer players that we're talking about on your podcast, or maybe you can let me know if they're DMing you, and saying what's up. But yeah, thanks so much for being here. You are a Midwest legend. You're known in Wisconsin, in the Packer fan base, but the NFC North as a whole knows you. Pat McAfee knows you. It's great. I think this is awesome, and I appreciate you being here. Thanks for coming on the show. You are a Midwest legend. We're going to get you we got a Midwest legend shirt. The problem with the Midwest legend shirt is they just say Midwest legend.
Yeah.
And being that most of us in the Midwest, maybe not me because I put my face everywhere, but most people are humble, so they don't want to wear something that's self-proclaimed Midwest legend. So you can blame me. We're going to get ones that say Midwest legend podcast underneath in the future.
You know what's funny is I watched all your episodes, and I was saying that to someone at work. I was like, he goes on, and he said, "Hey, we have Midwest legend, Alex." I remember, that was the last one I watched, and then she was like, "Oh, whatever," and I was like, you know what I should do? I was like, when he goes on there, say you're a Midwest legend, like, absolutely, I am. Absolutely.
So Matt, I got to ask you, are you Midwest legend?
Abso-freaking-lutely. Probably the first one you talked to on this podcast.
Well, I'm glad we got you on then finally. Hey, wait, don't head out just yet. Do you have a story that is so Midwest it couldn't have happened anywhere else? Or do you know a Midwest legend in your own life? Give me a call at 866-MWLEGND. Your story may be featured on our future episode or on our socials. Looking forward to hearing your Midwest legend.